Hey folks, it's Maxie here and welcome to a brand new TW9 video with All Elite Wrestling. You join us, I think we're roughly just under 2 weeks away from Blood and Guts. Really looking forward to it one. A wee bit delayed with the episode. Last week I was at AEW's taping, of the double taping of Dynamite and Collision in Glasgow. It was utterly superb. So many wrestlers I didn't expect to see that turned up. Long show, but very enjoyable. I think the main event was about 10 past 11 before it started, which of course was the Young Bucks against Paragon, which seeing all those fantastic Roddy Strong backbreakers was just tremendous to see. But we're on the road, as I say, to Blood and Guts. We've got this episode, the following episode, and then obviously the pay-per-view itself. Hopefully the storylines will be perfect and we can truly crack on. The match card I've got is quite decent, I'm quite happy with it, but we've got to make sure everything makes logical sense once we get there. So sit back, relax and enjoy. First off Dynamite, and then of course the other shows to follow. So I booked this show over the course of a few days, so hopefully everything makes logical sense. But we're in the CFG Bank Arena, and we start off with the Continental Champion. It is of course Darby Allin. He says Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada, two world-class wrestlers and two men that I've been able to defeat to ensure that one became the AEW Continental Champion, and then of course went on to retain it. Let not forget that title was retained for the grueling Continental Classic, winning my group with many great battles along the way. But this is not about me, this is about AEW, this is about you fans and getting the product that you deserve. So this journey keeps on going, and I'm looking for a new challenger. One step up. Show AEW is the place to be. Let's do this. So interesting to see who steps up to face Darby Allin next, but the challenge has been laid out. This segment was at 88, so good stuff. Our opening contest of the evening had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. The Protostar Kyle Fletcher defeats AR Fox in 14:05 with a Grimstone. This was our Steal the Show matchup of the night. 74 for the wrestling and 80 segment overall. Kyle Fletcher with a fantastic 92 performance. You'll love to see it. We then have some words from Kyle Fletcher, and he says, "Don't worry, this week I'm not going to attack my opponent, so AR Fox, you won't get what you deserve." But someone who deserved what they got was Nigel McGuinness, which leads me to my next point. Will Ospreay sticking your nose in my business where it doesn't belong. Hell, let's expand on that. Swerve Strickland putting his nose into Takeshita's business, which is Don Callis' family business, which then affects me. The world knows that me and Takeshita are the future of this industry, so how about it, Blood and Guts Ospreay? Swerve, you get a glimpse of that. That matchup's going to bang. Segment 67, the Callis War storyline advances, but sadly lost heat. It's one thing we need to work on with Kyle is of course the charisma, microphone skills, but obviously plenty of time to develop that. Next up, I had some decent wrestling, but not a lot of heat. Valkyrie defeated Tekla in 8:08 with a guillotine. This was a 63 segment, 59 for Valkyrie, and a 62 for Tekla. But then here's some words from our 40 figures, Jesse McKay and Scott D'Amore. They say, year after year, the AEW women's division continues to grow, and we're so proud of the talent we've assembled in this women's division. With great AEW women's world title matches and TBS championship matches, it's time to expand. We're proud to announce the birth of the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. We can confirm that these belts will debut at AEW Revolution, giving our athletes 1 month to gain some momentum to get participating in the match where the belts will be on the line. So that is coming. Just we have a great women's division. It's weird because in my other say that I do offline, I have world title, TBS title, tag titles and trios titles, but I've signed every woman across the planet. I have a full 3-hour women's show. And as I just said, I really want, one of my aims to be in TW9 is to get a 100 rated women's match and get a lot of them. But I feel like even with the men's, it's get a first one, the rest will follow after that. But I think that's a great way to help talents develop. You having a lot of them hook up together, it helps develop skill sets, and hopefully it helps develop psychology. Because I think not just even the women's side, the men's side as well, the psychologists start, there's only maybe 7 or 8 that you can kind of go, right, they can carry the match, but in the future they're not going to be there, they're going to retire. We need those skill sets to pass on, so hopefully that helps. Next up, we're about to had some decent wrestling, but a little heat. Rocky Romero defeats Robbie Eagles in 5:56 with the Fallen Devil. Storytelling matchup. Robbie Eagles was on his loan from basically Forbidden Door loans, etc., and for Wrestle Dynasty. 55 for the wrestling. Only a 43 segment though. This matchup was hampered due to the lack of popularity of both guys because it was deemed pre-show workers. But Robbie Eagles is getting a steal, despite this being his only appearance for the company. Rocky Romero picks up a fantastic win over Robbie Eagles, whilst, hold on, at the top of the ramp. Who's that? After a long period of time out, applauding, it's Trent. Rocky Romero is so confused to see his old friend. Although, the green text probably gives you an idea where we're going. 48 segment. Next up, decent matchup. Rare singles action for Gianna Daddio, and she takes on Billy Starks, and she wins in 11:02 with a submission victory via a guillotine choke. So a 65 for the wrestling here, and a 67 segment. Billy with a 61, Gianna with a 69. Then had more women's action. It was a decent matchup here that saw the team of Priscilla Kelly and the number one contender for the Women's Championship, Chris Statlander, defeat the team of Sarie and Starlight Kid in 12:49. When Chris Statlander pinned Sarie with the Big Bang Theory. 3 stellar performances here. The weak link was Priscilla Kelly with 55. Overall, some good stuff and a 71 rated segment. This leads to a few words from Statlander. And at Blood and Guts, I will fight Mercedes Moné for the first time ever. They've never met in this universe. At this point, Mercedes, we probably have the same ideals: to be world champion, to defend the belt all around the world, and being the best wrestler there is. I'm a day one AEW women's wrestler. I'm a homegrown prospect, obviously via Career Pro. I am finally deserving of being AEW women's world champion because I am the strongest woman on the world, and I am one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. So 78 for that one. Looking forward to it. Statlander and Mercedes. The storyline advances. Then I had some words from Alex Shelley. He says he's got to prove himself tonight. And then if he doesn't, I think it's time to move on. Listen, I'll catch you later. This is basically Alex Shelley getting off his phone as Kushida walks in ahead of their matchup tonight with FTR 57 segment. All is not well with the time splitters. But they had a good wrestling match here. Decent reaction from our audience as FTR defeat the time splitters in 11:04 when Dax Harwood submitted Kushida with an inverted figure 4. So 80 overall. Stellar stuff there. Dax Harwood won 88. Cash Wheeler with 82. But it is Kushida who taps out. We then have a little hype here, just confirming that on Collision we will hear from the American Dragon Bryan Danielson ahead of his AEW World Championship match with Switchblade Jay White at Blood and Guts. That was a 75. These two would put on a great matchup, but of course it won't main event, because I think if you're calling a pay-per-view Blood and Guts, you probably need to have the participants main event it. So 75 for that. Our main event for the evening was a Wild Brawl. They had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Not the greatest segment rating overall, but it was Jon Moxley defeating Mark Davis in 14:30 with a paradigm shift. A 75 for Davis, a 76 for Jon Moxley, and a 77 overall. And I finished the show with some words from Mox. He says, "So, I said a little while back that my next target was someone that pisses me off. Now, thankfully, it didn't take me very long to find someone who seems to want to call out the AEW roster. So, short and sweet, Darby Allin, I'm going to hurt you. I'm going to take your championship. The Death Riders may no longer exist because of Eddie Kingston, but in that place comes pain. I continually have to always want to inflict it on someone, and I will inflict it on you until you go away. One championship, though, that heals the fact that the group is no more." So he's basically saying he just wants to... He feels pain from the group splitting. He wants to inflict that pain on Darby until he goes away, and he wants that championship because that will heal him. So overall, it was a 75. Increased their popularity in one. I don't think it was great for ratings. I think we had the one good Darby Allin segment, but apart from that, wasn't great. But it is setting us up pretty nicely for the pay-per-view in terms of stuff on the Dynamite side. Of course, Collisions, where you'll probably see more stuff for the Blood and Guts and, of course, the World Championship matchup. And we didn't really follow them. It's because I don't like putting them in matches together. I kind of keep them apart with just 2 segments. So it's one of those ones. I'm used to that by now. So to finish the show, any instance before Rampage? Nope, let's jump to Collision. So we're at the PPL Centre for Collision, and we start off with some words from the AEW World Champion as the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Jay White continues to say he is going to slay the dragon. And I must say, it makes me laugh that he thinks this. He thinks I'm going to just roll over and let him pick up the win. Jay, I have defeated Okada to win this belt. I've defeated Kevin Steen and Konosuke Takeshita to retain it. I know I'm on the last tour of my career, but something just to think about is look at those names that I've beat to win the big one. Now sure, you won the Casino Gauntlet to get this match, however, what big singles title match have you won here in AEW? Exactly. No singles titles because you choke. And next Sunday, you'll choke and I will tap you out. So simple, effective, storyline advances, 82 segment for Danielson versus Jay White. Opening contest of the evening had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Queen Aminata defeats Bayley again in 13:57 by pinfall. This was our Steal the Show matchup. Basically, it was the second match of the promise that Bayley was going to do to put Queen Aminata over. Love the fact that they had an 80 rated matchup. I think they could go into a really good matchup down the line. I know Steal the Show boosts it, but obviously time capped as well, so maybe we could push that into to low to mid 80s. But Queen with the 66 performance, Bayley went 82, and Queen Aminata with a strong connection to the young female demographic. But yeah, positive stuff there. What next for Bayley? Well, anyway, Queen Aminata picks up the win. It's another shock win over Bayley, as we know, but that joy is short-lived as the numbers game quickly takes effect as Nixon, Newell and Sky Blue of the Monet Corporation hit the ring, and it's a 3-on-1 assault on the Queen. And then this leads to the head of the Monet Corporation coming out, making her way to the ring. It is, of course, Mercedes Monet. So a 61 segment, and Mercedes and Bayley's performance was good. We hear that evil laugh that she does, she's very good at. She says, how good was that? Amazing by the corporation. What you've just saw is exactly what's going to happen to Chris Statlander at Blood and Guts. You see, she claims to be every bit so strong, but can she deal with the power of the Monet Corporation? I run this show, we run this division, and we will forever. Continues with an evil laugh. So the numbers are obviously with the Monet Corporation, and an 80 rated segment there as we get ready for Chris versus Mercedes in just over a week's time, which should be pretty damn decent. Next up, per matchup, Candice LeRae defeats Camille in 6:27 moonsault press. Both were deemed to be pre-show workers, so that tanked the rating, but a 40 rated segment, more positive momentum for Candice LeRae. Next up, we had our storytelling match of the evening, and it was about to have some decent wrestling, but not a lot of heat, as Powerhouse Hobbs defeats Michael Oku in 6:01 with the Sprock Splash. 70 rated segment, obviously capped for time, but just made Powerhouse Hobbs look $1 million. Next up, more in-ring stuff. Wild Brawl that saw some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Ilya Dragunov defeated New Japan Pro Wrestling's Joe Maloney in 10:24 with the Torpedo Moscow. 90 for Dragunov's, obviously suits his style. A 56 for the Driller, and it was an 80 rated segment. There was a lot of stuff where I wanted to put in promos and angles towards the pay-per-view, but a few segments had to be cut because of other people getting time. Because we gave 20 minutes to Christian Cage and Cope versus FTR, and this was about to have some good wrestling and a decent action from the crowd, as they drew with a 20-minute time limit expiry. So 77 for the wrestling, a 74 for the segment, 68 performance from Cope, 73 from Christian, 83 for Cash, 86 for Dax. Honestly, I was very inspired by the FTR Brodero matchup that I went, yep, I'm doing it, I'm running that. So basically the match finishes as the time limit draw, and they still continue to fight. We then have an interruption from Tony Schiavone, and he says, I can confirm it, Blood and Guts, Tony Khan has made it official. It's going to be the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line, and it will be Ua and Ricochet defending against Cope and Christian Cage and FTR in a triple threat matchup. So a 74 rated segment, and yeah, that should be a pretty damn good triple threat matchup. And our main event, and I wanted to do a wee promo between Adam Cole and the Bucks, but never had time. So it was about to have some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Hangman and the Bucks defeat the Undisputed Kingdom, Roddy, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly in 22:01 after Hangman pinned Kyle with a Deadeye. A 76 for the wrestling, a 64 for the crowd, but an 82 segment overall. Quite a mixture of performances here. I'd probably say it's the best we've had from Adam Cole with a 74, 72 for Roddy, Nick with an 84, and Matt with a 69, and 93 for Hangman's outstanding. I just find it crazy compared to my other save where I'm getting Nick into the 90s, Roddy into the 90s, but I can't get a decent performance out of Adam Cole at all. But some good stuff there. But of course, there's more to the show to come. We cut backstage and we see Kenny Omega. He's down and he's being continuously kicked. And you hear that English accent say, "Huh, Kenny? Not so tough now without your friends, are you?" The man continues to kick Kenny before he drops his hood, and it's Gabe Kidd. The actions of one man, one does not forget. You gave up in New Japan. I never will. So a 65 rated segment. And they finish the show with some words from MJF. Just a video that cuts to him and he says, "Oh, would you look at that, Hangman? It's someone else who hates you lot's guts. Meet the fifth man for Blood and Guts, Gabe Kidd." You see, Gabe Kidd hates what all you guys have done. You all walked out in New Japan, leaving him to grow up fast and try and save that ship. Plus, of course, a little bit of money doesn't help. It helps as well. So let's hope, for you guys' sake, that Kenny even makes it to Blood and Guts. And hell, maybe, just maybe, we eliminate more of you before then. So that was my way to get Gabe Kidd in. 5-on-5 matchup. So it's going to be Gabe Kidd, Wardlow, Ricky Starks, and Wheeler Yuta versus Adam Page, Kenny Omega if he makes it, Kota Ibushi, and the Young Bucks. Carry weight. Storyline advances, gains heat, segment was an 84, overall show was a 78. Maybe could have done a bit better in basically not just that one matchup. I feel like there is some stuff that could have been better. More storylines could have been further than admittedly. I think it was only 2. But there's a lot of people gaining momentum towards stuff for Blood and Guts. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that one. And now we'll jump to the main screen to see what happens on the B shows. So time for a weekly look at what's happened on the B shows and a wee nosy around the wrestling world to see if anything directly affects us. But I don't think anything particularly has, so that's good to see. There's tension in All Japan's wrestling, locker room tension there. I'm not actually see anything that directly affects us. Mariah's going to set in a deal with Marigold. I don't even know who that is because that's not my greatest strength. Is knowledge of Joshi wrestling. She looks pretty good, so let's just shortlist her. That's fine. She's handshake, so we don't need to worry about that deal for just now. Perfect. Apart from that, Valentina Feroz is frustrated with a lack of matches. We will conclude a deal for Lana Austin. She is going to be going to Ring of Honor. Because I felt like it came up she was developing well, and she was only 29, so I thought, you know what, there's definitely 2-3 years she can spend in Ring of Honor, and we can monitor her progress and how she develops over that. So all the notes are Driller Maloney is gone from AEW. Collision and Shockwave had their ratings, which was just pretty much the usual. So it's wild to think 1 week today in game we will be at Blood and Guts. So I won't go over the card till next week, but we will look quickly at the B shows. So Rampage saw Rio defeat the Bunny in a 49. We had some words from Steph Delanda, who we do have acquired. Unsure what I'm going to do with her, so we just gave her a wee segment to see how she scored. Sammy Guevara defeats Jay Lethal, which was a 70. We had some words going on after Dynamite, which was the stuff between Rocky Romero and Trent Barretta, which was a 52. We had some words between AR Fox and Nick Wayne. Obviously, they have a history, so I felt like we should probably address that before this match. That was a 60. They teamed up, because AJ doesn't do B shows, to defeat Alex Reynolds and John Silver, a 69. I felt like that was a good opportunity for AR Fox, effectively, to kind of help the skills in Nick Wayne come along, get the reps in. We had some words from Gabe Kidd, which was a 61. And a triple threat main event saw Action Andretti, Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey. Mental because in this jet speed of poor chemistry, so we just have to deal with that one. And they defeated the Team of the Kingdom and a one-off appearance from Brutus Creed, who took the pinfall loss in a 66. Over to Shockwave, Gargano over Dutch was a 70. We then had some more words between Gargano and his wife Candice LeRae, which was a 73. Ricky Starks and Wardlow defeated the MXM Collection in a 67. Willow Nightingale defeated Emi Sakura in a 69, which surprised me, was the first time they'd battled in this. Willow's post-match promo was also a 69. Wheeler Yuta defeated Michael Oku in a 61. We heard some words from the Backbone, who've had a great night. That, of course, is Starks, Wardlow, and Utah, which was a 63. Brody King gets the win over Dustin Rhodes in a 69. Some tension between Malachi Black, Buddy Matthew, and Brody King. The House of Black was a 54 before Buddy Matthews defeats Blake Christian in your main event, which was a 71. So we're looking good for Blood and Guts. I see a full card will be rounded up in the next episode. And then the episode after that is, of course, the pay-per-view itself, as you can see up there. So thanks for watching, it's much appreciated. Actually quite surprised we got this episode out quite early on time. Yeah, just had a real good flow of these 2 shows back to back, and yeah, it was a lot quicker than anticipated. I thought I'd be here to Sunday making this, but no. We're live, pal. So thanks so much for watching. As always, check out the Gregor Software forums. You've got a lot of good written content there. Any patches you need will be there as well. And of course, the usual be the bookers.net, twdb.com, and of course the Fantasy Bookers subreddit. That's where I was going. Honestly, great group of guys there. Check it out. Till next time, Maxwell. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.